Elton started life as a classical musician, playing Mozart and Bach at the Royal Academy of Music. He has never forgotten that early help, spending literally millions on helping young musicians, and most recently on funding a magnificent new organ, which takes pride of place in the main hall. When we met there recently to discuss his life and music, Elton told me what compelled him to become such a unique organ donor.
Because the one they had was absolutely useless, and it had been redundant for many, many years. And now they have a brand new organ, which is magnificent sounding. It's very modern looking, and they have something forever. The last one was a disaster, so I wanted to put that right. You know, the Academy has given me so much.
But you also fund scholarships and do a lot of work here, and have done for some time.
I fund 8 scholarships a year here, so that the artistry goes on. I mean, I'm not the greatest classical musician, I never was. When I came here in 1958, I was a junior exhibitioner, and I came here on a Saturday morning.
Aged 11, I think.
Aged 11. And I went to school Monday to Friday, came here on Saturday, and played the piano, and sang in the choir, and did theory and orals, and met some wonderful people. But rock and roll had just happened, and my hands are such that I was never going to make a classical pianist, and when rock and roll...
Because your fingers aren't too long? Or?
They're not too long. You need great, beautiful, pointed fingers, and I don't have that. And I didn't really have the desire. Once I heard the piano being played in a different sort of way, which was, of course, like alien to anybody who taught here.
So you were coming out of Bach and Schubert?
I was coming out of Schubert, Bach, Mozart and Chopin, Beethoven, into Jerry Lee Lewis, full stop. And my life changed from that point onwards. But I've never forgotten the skills that I've learnt here.
In your new album, From the Diving Board, you talk about yourself at 16, which was just when you ended your period here.
Yes.
I wonder what kind of person you were at 16.
I was very shy. Just about to leave school and work in a music publishing company. I had a semi-professional band, and I played the organ, a Vox Continental organ, and the piano. I knew I wasn't cut out to be a classical musician. I knew I wanted to do something else, so I followed my instincts, and my instincts were right. But I had to fight along the way to get there. I mean, I didn't have a lot of encouragement sometimes from my father. My mother encouraged me all the time, but I had to fight tooth and nail to get where I was. And I'm still driven by that ambition. And the Academy gave me that ambition as well.
I think of you being similar in some respects to David Hockney in the arts. A working class boy comes to an elite institution and is then given the skills, which when you have your own revolution, enable you to do something entirely different.
Exactly. Exactly, that's what it just enabled me to have that knowledge of chord structure, of harmony, of choral work. You know, you play the wonderful composers when you're here.
Your new album is all about fame and reflecting on fame. How much is this consciously an attempt to go back to the very first few albums that you Tumbleweed Connection and so on?
It was kind of an accident in a way, because my producer Thibaut Burnett suggested that I made a record with just piano, bass and drums as the template. And I'd never really made a record like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Elton John.
If I could go back home, if I could go back home, if I never left, I'd never have known. We ought to live by believing, but wind up in the end.
And we went into the studio with a batch of songs, a batch of lyrics, and I had nothing written. The lyrics were written, but I had nothing written musically. And I went in with a bass player and a drummer, and it just flowed out of me. And it was very relaxing to not have the encumberment of other musicians around you. And consequently, I think I'm playing better and singing better on this record than I've ever done before. I don't ever want to stop learning, and there's still room for improvement.
You're part of a generation of rockers who now suddenly find yourselves in your 60s, and you're having to find new ways of writing relevant music, I suppose, for this new age group. Can you reflect on that?
I don't really think it is relevant, to be honest. I don't think my melodies and my songs are relevant, really, to the current age. I mean, people might like them, but the records don't sell as much as they used to, by a long way. But I'm not really interested in that anymore. I'm interested in I don't have to chase the charts anymore. I don't have to have the top 10 record. I can just do what I like, and that's a tremendous asset for a musician to have when he's 66. I've been through what I've done, I've been successful, and have the freedom not to have to care about that anymore.
Comfortable in your own skin.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the extraordinary relationship with Bernie Taupin, who is usually several thousand miles away, I guess, sending you the lyrics out of the void. You get the lyrics, and then what happens?
I look at the page, and it's like reading a book when you're a child. It's very odd. It's kind of an act of God in a way, that he and I have never been in the same room writing a song, and yet it's still as fresh as it ever was 46 years ago.
Is he pleased, do you think, by the last few albums, which have been a little bit more back to basics?
He's elated, yeah.
He's elated. He was never so big on the Rocket Man and the big glasses.
Oh no,
era,
he loved those songs. I don't think he thought that the costumes and I did take them too far. I was having the time of my life. And he thought they detracted away from the songs, and I think critically they did, perhaps. Now, one's entering our twilight years. I think the recognition has come our way that, they're great songs anyway. But I was just having the time of my life.
Susie had so much fun, holding hands and skimming stone. I don't know, don't share, I'm placing my own, but the biggest kick I ever got. Doing a thing called crocodile rock, but you know the kids are rocking down the clock. I was hopping to the crocodile rock away.
You're also one of the great gay icons and have been for a long time. I'm just wondering how much David Furnish has changed you as a person.
Tremendously. I mean, a relationship with me before that was never a 50-50 relationship. It was a hostage take. I was a hostage taker. From the day I met David, it's always been a 50-50 relationship, and he's taught me so much about relationships, about confrontation, about honesty, about genuine love. And we've been 20 years together this week, and it's been an amazing journey, and we're still learning about each other. Before when I got sober in 1990, I really had to start to learn how to live again, all over again. It was like a little child learning to walk, and to actually process life as it comes and not trying to push it away to the side.
And now you have your own family. Somebody who knows you said to me, ask him about Zachary, because he's your son's about to go to school for the first time next year. That's going to be hard for Elton.
Well, he's going to go in 2015. But yes, I've got to make sure I'm there, and I'm going take him and pick him up. That's part of the fatherhood thing. I don't want to be in another part of the world playing concerts. I want to be there for him, and with the new one as well. It's all about them now. It's another responsibility. It's another thing about learning in life, that you think you've learned everything, and then these two beautiful creatures come along, and you just can't believe the amount of love you feel for them. I'm very optimistic about the world. With Zachary's generation, the generation above him, I think we're in good hands. I think the world is changing. The dominoes are falling It's slowly falling.
In what way?
In that people are being far more tolerant and accepting of gay people, of people's colour, people's religions. Obviously, that doesn't apply everywhere, but that takes a long time. It's like Northern Ireland wasn't solved in a day. It was done by diplomacy, and it was done by bargaining, and it was done by discussion. And actually talking about it. Yeah.
I guess since the Diana moment, you've also had to cope with the huge burden of being a national treasure, probably an international treasure. Do you feel the weight of that?
Freddie Mercury said I look like the Queen Mother on Live Aid. Yeah. I do feel a bit like the Queen Mother. I sometimes feel as if I'm the acceptable face of homosexuality, and if that is the case, then I'm going to use that to try and break down barriers. I'm going to Russia, for example, at the beginning of December to play there, and I know
that might be slightly tricky given what's going on there. You must feel strongly about it.
I've been going there since 1979. You either don't go or you go, and I don't see the point of not going. You go and you act and you try and break down some walls, and you try and talk to some people, and you try to bring people together with music. That's all I can do. I'm a musician. I bring people together. They don't care who's gay, who's straight, what colour they are. When they're in that concert hall, it's like going back into Northern Ireland and playing in Belfast in the crazy, horrible days. People came together and forgot all their troubles and in one place, and music and sport are the common denominators that can do that. And I'm lucky enough to have had in my life the ability to be able to play music and heal a lot of wounds.
Sir Elton Hercules John, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.